Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Hello, friends. How are you? I hope this finds you in good spirits and good health and secure. I'm recording this a little later in the day. My time was spent running around taking care of issues about money. Money. Anyway. Life is a wild ride, isn't it? So we're continuing with Chapter 6, Lotus Sutra, via BDK's translation. It has its little foibles, but, right, we've read the Lotus Sutra several times. We have the Lotus Lectures, and we have other a whole playlist on the Lotus Sutra. Come at it from all different angles. And sure enough, even though, they have their little partisan quirks, the message is coming through, isn't it? I'm going to reiterate that every now and again because I have 2 new books I've told you about already, Buddhism for Today, and the old, what is his name? Leon Hurwitz edition, which, according to Jacqueline Stone, who's a modern scholar who I respect greatly, and her entourage, they all seem to agree that Leon Hurwitz was the most true to Kumarajiva's Chinese translation. So I'm really curious to read that one. But we'll see throughout these translations, I think, the same core message coming through, although because they're different authors, different translators, using different biases from their cultural realities and so forth, as I have pointed out since the beginning of this resource, this channel certainly, but on my website, we may get some little insights from a different angle, if only because I'm reading it with my over 40 years of practice and insights and my critical mind and my critical eye. So hopefully that's what engages you here, so that you can get your own insights via these translations, via my insights and so forth, so that you can make your practice as strong as it can be, yeah? All right, now I have something in my left eye, and it won't leave me alone. Of course. It's always this eye for some reason. All right, so now we know that Shakyamuni gave the prediction of future Buddhahood to, not Shariputra, who was it? Come on, brain. Mahakashyapa, yeah, that's right. Okay, I don't know how I forgot that. So the other senior monks, the Shravakas, got really excited. Wow, for the 42 years you've been saying Shravakas, Pratyeka Buddhas will never attain Buddhahood. Now, you just guaranteed Mahasattva, Mahakashyapa. So Mahamadgalyayana, Subhuti, who we hear in several other sutras as well as this one, as what's the term? Interlocutor with Shakyamuni. And Mahakatyayana were all charged with excitement and palms pressed together, attentively gazed Shakyamuni or the Bhagavat, and never turning their eyes from him, they immediately spoke these verses in unison. So this is where we left off last time. Here we go. O Bhagavat, O great hero, O king of the Dharma of the Shakyas, bestow, that's an interesting way to translate that. He was of the Shakyas, but it wasn't the Dharma of the Shakyas. Anyway, king of the Dharma of the Shakyas. I guess it depends on where you place your imaginary commas. The written word. Bestow the Buddha's words upon us out of your compassion for us. If knowing the depths of our hearts, you give us your predictions, it will be like cooling our fevers by sprinkling us with the dharma of immortality. There's that immortality thing again. We talked about that last time, right? Not a Western immortality. In other words, eternal soul. Immortality, and whether they meant it in this translation or not, I'm telling you, immortality in this context of Buddhahood is the detachment of mortality, right? The freeing of the cycle of birth and death. Birth, death, moment to moment to moment to moment. Which I adapted a few videos ago as birth, death, rebirth, death, rebirth, death, rebirth, death, rebirth, because we're constantly reinstantiating from a momentum of energy, right? This came up in a question again about what I was saying about the engine of life and a recent video about self. And it's just so, we're so accustomed to this idea of immortality or eternity that even my words weren't enough. And somebody asked me if that meant that we had infinite potential and limitless whatever. And I, it may have been saying the right thing, but I had to correct it because words, it can lead us astray. And there's nothing infinite about us, right? Our potential isn't infinite, but our potential is for any possibility vis-a-vis the karma of which we're constructed, right? If that, quick example, and I really want to get this straight for you guys, as well as develop some kind of a strong rhetoric for myself to be able to explain this adequately. But look at the universe. Yeah, I know. Yeah, right. It's big. But just look around the galaxy, if you will. What do you see in the universal bodies that are everywhere? You see stars, like our sun. You see satellites, like the moon. You see planets like Earth, Jupiter, gas giants, right? Planets that are gaseous. Some asteroids that are mostly metal. Comets. I mean, you could just go on and list all of these different kinds of, all moving, some at phenomenal speeds, right? Phenomenal speeds. And yet they all have been formed from the same energy, right? Developing over time, but a certain subset of the total, right? The universe is all potential, but each planet, star, asteroids, you, me, we all are not only a subset, but a subset constructed in different, I was going to say order, but different sequences, right? Right? When hydrogen joins with oxygen and makes water, that's fine. But if hydrogen and oxygen are joined by a nitrogen or a helium, then maybe the result isn't water. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's peroxide. Maybe it's, right, like heavy water, or so on and so forth. That's why each one of us is very, very similar chemically, biologically, but none of us are identical. Even identical twins have differences. And they show up where? In our minds. Samsarically and Buddhaness, and liberated from samsara. So when we use words like limited or unlimited life, potential, that limit isn't the universe. That limit is samsara or liberated, samsara or Buddhaness, right? Samsara, limited, because that's habit. That's the same thing repeating. But because we have Buddhaness available to our sentient minds, we can influence that momentum of that what I call the karmic freight train that is each one of us, right? The earth can't do that. But you and I can, because we have a sentient mind. We can use agency. We have agency. We have influence. Right? So we can modify our momentum, our trajectory. And the way we modify it is by connecting with the full potential of our karmic momentum. Do you see? The potential within our karmic freight train, you could say, is infinite, but infinity kind of pushes the boundaries of, because infinity is about time, ultimately, yeah? So we don't want to talk about infinite potential unless we're talking about the universe. But if we're talking to ourselves, our potential is vast. And our potential is not only, is it vast, but it's influenceable. We can direct it with our agency, which is another video I'll have to make soon, because I keep hearing these philosophers and intellectuals talking about there's no such thing as free will. Well, then these are materialist people. And they see everything as either it is a thing or it isn't a thing. And if it isn't a thing, then it isn't. So you have no free will. You're just acting out the chemistry and biology that you're made of. Completely opposite of Buddhism. Buddhism is the one thing, one intellectual pursuit in this life that says, yeah, that's how it used to be. That's how, Hinduism is built, right? All of that will tell you what your karma is and you'll never be anything else, right? Destiny, all of that. But no. We have agency. As soon as you have agency, as soon as you can influence the momentum, well, that is free will, should you choose to do it, right? So anyway, just covered a lot of ground. Sorry, but it was on my mind. Understand, yes, we're liberating ourselves from samsaric habitude that continuously repeats. That's why you complain about your life. I keep finding myself in this situation. Of course you do. That's your samsaric, what did Shakyamuni call it? Your habit energy. So break loose. Hi, Chloe. Break loose of that energy by chanting, enlightening yourself, awakening your Buddha mind. And that Buddha mind understands what's happening and can easily sidestep or pick another path or modify the path so that you don't constantly repeat, but you move, you influence yourself toward the best possible path within your karmic freight train. Make sense? All right, I got that off my chest. If it still doesn't make sense, please let me know. I really appreciate those comments because it lets me know where I'm not getting certain points across and I need to revisit them like that I am right now. All right, so the rest of these great monks are pleading with, you gave him a gold star, what about us? Basically, right? So if you tell us, if you understand our sincerity, right, the depths of our hearts, you give us your predictions, it will be like cooling our fevers and sprinkling us with the dharma of immortality. In other words, liberating us, letting us detach from this mortality, this samsaric reality. Yeah? It is as though someone coming from a country suffering from famine were suddenly to find a great king's feast spread before him, yet is stricken with doubt and does not venture to eat, until, being instructed by the king, he dares at last to do so. Wow, that's amazing. We are exactly like this. We have been constantly thinking about the faults of the inferior vehicle. Why can't we attain Buddhahood, right? And so we had no knowledge of the way to obtain the highest wisdom of the Buddha. Although we hear the Buddha's voice saying that we will become Buddhas, we still have doubt in our minds. Are we good enough? Right? Is this all we need to do? As if we dare not eat the meal. If we receive the Buddha's prediction, they have to be told. They don't have enough conviction on their own. They need to be told. It's a very authoritarian mindset on their part, isn't it? Yes, human beings fall into that trap constantly. It's happening today. If we receive the Buddha's prediction, it will immediately put us to ease. Yeah, today. What about tomorrow, right? The Bhagavat, the great hero, always wants to put the world at ease, and so we entreat you to bestow upon us your predictions as though to starving people waiting for permission to eat. It's kind of sad, don't you think? I get it. I get it why in a way, they're trying to make sure he's not just saying, Mahakashyapa, he's done something different. He's cool. He'll get there, but still don't know about the rest of you. They just, again, they're saying it. We want to be told. They don't have confidence. What do I say all the time about this resource and why I'm doing this? To raise our confidence. Without confidence, your practice doesn't really, it's just rote, right? It's just a habit. You have to have that conviction. Remember Nichiren? Single-mindedly meet Buddha. Your Buddha-ness, right? Then the Bhagavat, knowing what lay in the thoughts of the great disciples, addressed the monks, saying, quote, this Subhuti in the future will meet, respect, venerate, praise, and pay homage to 300 myriads of kotas of Nayutas of Buddhas, and he will always practice the pure path of discipline and integrity. He's repeating those two words, so make note, yeah? And complete the Bodhisattva path, not the Shravaka path, not the Pratyeka Buddha path, but now that you know, and now that I'm teaching this sutra, Myoho Renge Kyo, you now can attain Buddhahood. Absolutely. In his last body, he will become a Buddha called Yasasketu, a Tathagata, completely enlightened, perfect in knowledge and conduct, well-departed, knower of the world, unsurpassed, tamer of humans, teacher of devas and humans, Buddha Bhagavat. Okay, so Subhuti has this prediction. His land will be called Ratnasambhava, in the Kalpa called Ratnavabhasa. The land will be even, and the earth will be made of crystal and adorned with jeweled trees. It will be without pits, pebbles, thorns, or the filth of excrement. The earth will be covered with precious flowers and will everywhere be pure. The Buddha land. The people in this world all live in the wonderful towers and jeweled terraces. The Shravakas, the disciples, there will be innumerable and limitless beyond calculation and metaphor. And there will be, he's really getting brief now. He's calling his own metaphors just metaphors. Insert here. And there will also be innumerable thousands of myriads of kotas of Nayutas of Bodhisattvas. The lifespan of this Buddha will be 12 intermediate kalpas. The true Dharma will last in the world for 20 intermediate kalpas, and the semblance Dharma will also last for 20 intermediate kalpas. How long is 20 intermediate kalpas? A freaking long time. Okay? This Buddha will always dwell in the air, teaching the Dharma for the multitude, and he will save incalculable bodhisattvas and sravakas. Save. You know how much I dislike that word. He'll liberate. But he'll dwell in the air. Does that mean that Subhuti is going to vaporize? No, his influence will permeate the culture, the peoples. How does that happen? By propagation. Thereupon, the Bhagavat, wanting to explain the meaning of this further, spoke these verses. Here we go again. O monks, I shall now make something known to you. You should attentively listen to what I have to say. It's kind of nice of them, Shakyamuni to spend so much time preparing these people. But then again, that's the history of his teaching life. It's raising these people's consciousness, yeah? So here we go. My great disciple Subhuti will become a Buddha called Yasasketu. He will pay homage to incalculable myriads of kotas of Buddhas, and following the Buddha's practice, he will gradually come to complete the great path. He will attain the 32 marks in his last body, and his form will be fine and beautiful, just like a jeweled mountain. His Buddha world will be ultimately pure. Well, of course, that is a Buddha world. Of the sentient beings who see it, there will be none who do not rejoice. There the Buddha will bring incalculable sentient beings to enlightenment. Well, I like that a lot better than save, right? So in this discourse part, a little license is played by the bias of the translator, but in the verse part, I think it's more tightly defined, so he doesn't get away with that. I like that. Incalculable sentient beings will be brought to enlightenment. Yeah, that's not saving. That's helping self-realization, right? Who saves you? You do. Not me, not Buddha, not Nichiren. It's all on you. You are enlightened to the degree that you're committed to it. We hear this over and over and over, right? In the midst of his Dharma, there will be many bodhisattvas with keen faculties who turn the irreversible wheel of the Dharma. This world will always be graced with bodhisattvas. There will also be incalculable numbers of shravakas. All of them will have perfected the 3 sciences and the 6 transcendental powers, will abide in the 8 liberations, and have great dignity and virtue. The Buddha will expound the Dharma and reveal immeasurable, unthinkable, transcendent powers. All the devas and humans, as numerous as the sands of the Ganges River, will listen to the Buddha's words with palms pressed together. The lifespan of this Buddha will be 12 intermediate kalpas. Will he live that long, the lifespan of this Buddha? No, of course not. The lifespan of this Buddha is the lifespan of his influence. His influence. You know, I talk about this well, I've talked about it many times, but in the Buddhism reference book, under the title of birth and the title of death, I go into this, and I've answered questions about how do we deal with a relative that's passed away. If this life is our opportunity as sentient beings to experience the totality of life, and at death, the entire structure that emerges a mind is gone, so that we are no longer a self or an entity, right? There's no soul, there's no self. That's just for this human sentient mind experience. So when you lose somebody, a loved one, how do there's a lot of mythology about that, right? Depending on which school you study. But in the Lotus Sutra, it's quite clear. The way that those people exist beyond their human death is simply through the influence they've had on all the lives they've touched, right? My father's been dead for years, but I still think about him. And whether or not I think about him directly, he still affects my thoughts. All the more reason for me to focus on Buddha-ness. Yeah? So when I pay homage to a loved one that's passed away, I've had a few. I'm 66 years old. There have been a few who've passed away. Some of you know what I'm talking about. I still think about those people. Certainly in Gangyo, right? In the fifth meditation, I'm not reaching out into the universe and looking like, hey, you, come here, come here. No. They're not looking upon me from above. Forget all that mysterious, magical thinking. The address I make to those people who've passed away are their remaining influences in my life, right? Thanking them in my life for their lasting positive influences on me, constructive influences on me, right? And letting go of those influences that maybe, right, we don't want to bear grudge, because that affects who? Us. So we want to let that go. We want to remember the good influences that buoy us up as we continue and have added to our karmic freight train that aspect of who we are as a result of their influence. So there's a lot of appreciation in that fifth meditation, right? That's how we pay homage to those who've passed away, to recognize and credit their influences on our karma, which is now our karma, right? Moment to moment to moment. Influence, influence, influence. So having finished his recitation, I'm just checking the time. Thereupon the Bhagavat addressed the monks, saying, I will now tell you that this Mahakashyayana in the future will honor, respect, and pay homage to 8,000 kotis of Buddhas with offerings. After parinirvanas of these Buddhas, he will erect stupas. Each of them will be 1,000 yohanas in height, 500 yohanas in both in width and depth. These stupas will be constructed of the 7 precious treasures, gold, silver, lapis lazuli, mother of pearl, agate, pearls, and rubies. He will pay homage to these stupas with many flowers and necklaces, fragrant ointments, scented powders, burning incense, canopies, flags, and banners. After this, he will also pay homage to 2 myriads of kotis of Buddhas in exactly the same way, and having done so, he will perfect the Bodhisattva path and become a Buddha called Jampunandabasa, a Tathagata, completely enlightened, perfect in knowledge and conduct, well-departed, knower of the world, unsurpassed, tamer of humans, teacher of devas and humans, Buddha Bhagavat. His land will, you see the format here. So he's going to give them their predictions, all with their own characteristics based on knowing them, I would assume. I'll go ahead and read through it, though, because there may be some nuances in here, and you might be upset with me if I skip anything, so I won't do it. I need a little water, though. His land will be leveled. That's a big thing, evidently, back then. I guess probably more agrarian than anything else. Having to deal with mountains and hills, not easy to farm on, yeah? Or to manage water, for that matter. The earth will be made of crystal and will be adorned with jeweled trees. The roads will be bordered with golden cords, and beautiful flowers will cover the earth. It will be pure everywhere, and those who see it will rejoice. There will be none of the 4 troubled states of being, namely the hells, hungry ghosts, animals, and asuras. So, the 4 lower paths, right? The 4 lower realms. There will be many devas, humans, and immeasurable myriads of kotis of Shravakas and Bodhisattvas will grace this world. The lifespan of this Buddha will be 12 intermediate kalpas. The true Dharma will last in the world for 20 intermediate kalpas, and the semblance Dharma will also last for 20 intermediate kalpas. This is such a number, an unfathomable distance in time, that I suppose at the time he was giving this sermon, it was inconceivable enough that people would say, well, We don't have to worry about how long this influence will be. And certainly new bodhisattvas will come, as he's already said, by the hordes to continue this tradition, right? At that time, the Bhagavat, wanting to explain the meaning of this further, spoke these verses. More verses. Now, keep in mind, I have a question in the back of my mind. I don't know if you thought of it too, but later on, we're going to see him talk to the bodhisattvas of the earth, you and I, because of this age to come from his place in time, was going to be in danger of losing the teachings of the Myoho and Gekkyo. And therefore, he called on future bodhisattvas to take up the propagation. Now, in a way, that suits what he's saying right now. But in another way, it also says, well, if there's going to be all these bodhisattvas and these teachers who are going to last such an unfathomably long time, and their influences last such a long time, then how is it that in just a few 500-year periods, suddenly the teachings are in danger of being lost? A little bit of a conundrum there. So just a question to note, on the back blackboard, on the back of the room, or whatever, however you take notes on this. And let's see how this evolves as he gets deeper and deeper into the Lotus Sutra, right? I'm sure there'll be clues, but I just thought that might be an interesting thing to keep track of, yeah? All right, so verse time. O monks, listen carefully. What I shall say is nothing but the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. This Katyayana will pay homage to the Buddhas with various wonderful offerings. After the parinirvanas of those Buddhas, he will erect stupas constructed of the 7 precious treasures and offer respects to their relics. With flowers and incense, in his last body, he will attain the wisdom of the Buddha and will achieve complete enlightenment. His world will be pure, and he will save did it again. He will instruct many sentient minds in enlightenment, yeah? Incalculable myriads of kodas of sentient beings. There, he said it. He will venerate in the 10 directions. He will be venerated in the 10 different directions. In other words, worldwide. There is nothing that surpasses this Buddha's ray of light. So this Buddha will be called Jambunadabhasa. If you remember, is the beginning of Jambudvipa, right? Which is representative of the entire earth, the entire world. So no wonder he's called that. There will be innumerable, uncountable bodhisattvas and shravakas gracing this world who have shaken free from every state of being. Thereupon the Bhagavat again addressed the assembly, saying, I will now tell you that this Mahamogdalayana will respect, venerate, and pay homage to 8,000 Buddhas with various offerings. And after the parinirvanas of these Buddhas, he will erect stupas, of which there will be 1,000 yohanas in height, 500 yohanas in both depth and width. The stupas will be constructed with the 7 precious treasures, gold, silver, lapis, on and on. He will offer them various flowers, necklaces, fragrant ointments, scented powders, burning incense, canopies, flags, and banners. Do you see where our offerings of incense come into play at our altar when we chant to our mandala? Okay. After this, he will pay homage to 200 myriad of kodas of Buddhas in exactly the same way, and he'll become a Buddha called Tamalpatrakandangadana. Wow. Let me try that again. Whoo! Tamalapatra Kandanaganda. A Tathagata, completely enlightened, perfect in knowledge and conduct, well-departed, knower of the world, unsurpassed, tamer of humans, teacher of devas and humans, Buddha Bhagavat. That's what we're all doing, by the way. If it means anything, you can make a little badge, This is what I'm going for. Buddha-ness. His world will be called Mano Birarma. In the Kalpa called Ratiprapurna. The land will be leveled, the earth will be made of crystal, adorned with jeweled trees, strewn with flowers of pearls. It will be pure everywhere, and those who see it will rejoice. There will be many devas and humans, innumerable bodhisattvas and shravakas. The lifespan of this Buddha will be 24 intermediate kalpas. The true Dharma will last in the world for 40 intermediate kalpas, and the semblance Dharma will also last for 40 intermediate kalpas. I don't know, I see trouble brewing. They're not all getting the same fortune told, yeah? Or predictions. But then the Bhagavat, wanting to elaborate on the meaning of this, spoke in verses. Here we go again. Where are we time-wise? Okay. This is a longer verse portion. So, but it's the end of the chapter. Let's go ahead and finish it since it's at the end. This disciple of mine, Maha Maudgalyayana, having abandoned his body, this body, will meet 8,000 and then 200 myriads of kuras of Buddha Bhagavats. For the sake of the Buddha path, he will pay them homage and respect, and always practice the conduct of brahmacharya, I'm not familiar with that term, of discipline and integrity. In the presence of these Buddhas, he will uphold the Buddha Dharma for immeasurable kalpas. After the parinirvanas of these Buddhas, he will erect stupas constructed with 7 precious treasures on which golden banners will long be displayed. He will pay homage to these stupas of the Buddhas with flowers, incense, and music. And after having mastered the Bodhisattva path step by step, in a land called Mano Birama, he will become a Buddha called Tamalpatraskanda Ganda. The lifespan of this Buddha will be 24 intermediate kalpas. He will always expound the Buddha path for the sake of the devas and humans. There will be countless shravakas, as numerous as the sands of the Ganges River, who will have perfected the 3 sciences and 6 transcendent powers, and have great dignity and virtue. There will be innumerable bodhisattvas, resolute and persevering, who will never turn away from the wisdom of the Buddhas. After the parinirvana of this Buddha, the true Dharma will last for 40 intermediate kalpas, and the semblance Dharma will also be like this. All of my disciples, 500 in number, who are endowed with dignity and virtue, will also receive my prediction. In the future, they will all become Buddhas. I will now explain the relationships that you and I have formed in the past. All of you listen carefully. And this leads us to chapter 7, the apparitional city. Whew! So, everybody got their prizes. Everybody got their kudos. Now they got to measure up. Yeah, getting your mandala and enshrining it and making your altar all safe and perfect. That's the easy part, folks. So we're already on chapter 7. We're moving along. I want to thank you again for your practice and your curiosity, your study. It's incredibly valuable. It helps, again, build our resolve, right? Keep us in strong connection with our practice and our desire, our commitment, our dedication, our determination to awaken our Buddha mind. Yeah? So, this is why I always remind you at the end of these videos. Keep your practice strong. Savor it. It's precious. It is the flowering potential of your life, ungluing yourself from destiny, right? Don't just tumble through life. You have agency to move it to the best possible expression and experience. Otherwise, why bother? Right? That's I probably shouldn't say that because these days, well, human beings have always had a real propensity for laziness. So don't do that to yourself. You're worth so much more. I know it. You know it too. Right? Give yourself your maximum potential. Why would you give yourself any less? Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Thanks again for listening. Thank you for supporting this resource, the website, the books, all of that. Really, really appreciate your participation. Just liking and subscribing. It's a Bodhisattva act. It helps grow the Sangha, right? But your financial support, whether it's buying books or direct donations through Patreon or PayPal, it's immeasurable. Thank you. Take care of your health. Be kind to yourself, right? And I'll see you in the next one. Chapter 7, coming up next. Bye for now.